Welcome back to the Real PMP podcast. This episode concludes my fun conversation with Ashaki Sorrell. We talk a bit about the Google Project Management Certificate and how the certificate helps you learn the language of project management. Take a listen. Ever since Google created their online PM course, I've heard a lot of people are taking this course as a way to break into project management. And that was the intent. Is kind of like getting people set up for success to go through, do that, and then maybe go through the CAPM, the CAPM, and then eventually into PMIs, PMP. What are your thoughts as to the benefits of that Google PM course for those wanting to make the transition into project management?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've talked to a lot of ladies and they have told me that they've taken that course or they're in the middle of that course. And I think there's a couple of benefits. I think one, it starts to give you the language and the jargon around project management. You and I know there's a specific language when you start talking about project management, stakeholders, risks, charter. You have to understand the language. That's one of the initial steps, right? If you don't know the language, then you can easily get lost, right? And so understanding what is a project, understanding phases of a project, understanding just the structure of a project, and then some of those project documents and artifacts that we talked about, issues logs, charters, risk registers. I think the Google course does a great job of doing that, of just laying the foundation of project management and then also establishing the jargon. I also think that it gives someone a preview into what they may encounter as a project manager, right? To me, it's very similar to when I took driver's training as a teenager. I had to read that manual. I had to understand, what a flashing yellow light meant, what a flashing red light meant. But it was totally different when I actually started driving. And that's where I think, right? You can read all day about how to merge on a freeway, but then when you actually need to merge on a freeway, that's a totally different ball game.
People won't get over. Why won't they get over?
Right. So I think that is where I have seen that there's a possible disconnect. That people, they get the knowledge, but now that they have the knowledge, they're just not sure how to apply it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the importance of the experience that you bring. So I do want to circle that back because I think it's a nice segue. Your third E in your training program, Training Academy, is to make sure you provide the experience. So how long of the experience do they get? Is that an additional 5 weeks or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the nonprofits, like I stated, they have to go through an application process because I want to make sure that the nonprofits that were involved had an actual project. These women have come to me because they want the 3 E's. They want the education, they want the exposure, and they want the experience. So part of that application process entails the nonprofit explaining what's the purpose of their project, but also the duration. And so one of the stipulations is, because this is the women are volunteering at the nonprofit, so the project cannot extend beyond 90 days. Okay. So some of our projects are 60 days, and then some of them are 90 days. We don't have any that are less than 60 days currently.
Okay. No, that's really good. And this is something that they get to add to their resume and be able to talk about during the interview.
Yep, absolutely. So at the very end, after they go through the experience and after they, have worked with the nonprofit, then they will have a session with me where we'll update their resume to reflect that experience as well as their LinkedIn.
Oh, that's nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, because I know people are like waiting with bated breath. How often do you run these cohorts? And then what's the size of your cohorts? How many number of people?
Yeah, so there's a spring and a fall. So we're going to run it again in September. So it'll be every Thursday in September, and it's done via Zoom. So it's live instruction. Myself and another project management professional teach the course. And so the maximum number of women, because we want to be able to really pour into them, is 20. So yeah, we want to cap it at 20 because again, when they go to their assignment, they have one-on-one mentoring sessions twice a month. So they have a dedicated mentor that is a project management professional where they can bounce things off of them. And then even between their mentoring sessions, we have a Slack channel. So all the women are on that Slack channel. So they work as a PMO, if you will, answering questions if someone's stuck. And then they have their training materials to always revisit as well. But the maximum number is 20 women because we
And do
want to
they
make sure that everybody's being taken care of.
That's awesome. And do they stay kind of in the Slack even after they're done with the program so they can share with each other?
Oh yeah, the spring cohort is still in play now because they're in their assignments, but they're already talking about an alumni group. They're already talking about like let's have a reunion. I mean, they really bonded. They really bonded with one another because they all came in on the same playing field. They all came in wanting to pivot into project management. We had educators, we had people from the medical field, we had two young women that are graduating from universities, but they all were like, this is what we want to do. And so also too, we did a lot of role playing. So, we did hands-on exercise. We did things like you have a disgruntled stakeholder. We did role playing where you're presenting a status report and someone's asking you questions and they're grilling you. How do you respond to that? So I really tried to simulate for them some of the things that they may encounter before they go to their assignment. And so now they're on their assignments, and so they're dealing with actual stakeholders. They're dealing with changes. They're dealing with personalities. So yeah, they really have bonded. So yeah, they remain in the Slack channel, encouraging one another and learning from one another. So it's been a beautiful thing. And all of this was done meeting each other over LinkedIn, connecting with the nonprofits over LinkedIn, advertising about the program over LinkedIn. It's really been amazing. I really have been blown away.
Oh, that is great. And what is the fee for folks to enter into the program, for ladies to enter into the program?
Yep. So for ladies to enter into the program, it's $1,000.
Okay.
And so that will include the 5 weeks of instruction. That also includes being placed at a nonprofit to gain the experience. And then that also will include the mentor that you receive one-on-one. And then after that assignment, a LinkedIn update as well as a resume revision.
That's a great investment. And, definitely helps to, it really is a great investment. So I'm glad to hear that you are charging a fee so that you can make sure that people are serious, but it's also all that legwork you have to do, and in connecting with people, providing the content, getting the mentors, getting the speakers, it definitely is a great thing. So tell me, what are some additional tips that you might want to provide for people as they are embarking in the project management career field?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say a couple of different things. I would say if you can, at your current organization, maybe lead a small project or shadow a project manager. If that's not feasible or practical, I would definitely say, find Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups that are full of project managers and ask them questions. Ask them questions specifically around what's their day to day. What are some of the challenges that they face? What are some of the things that they wish they would have known before entering into the profession? I think really trying to get an understanding of what it means. And I know what I did before I became a project manager and I knew I wanted to enter into project management. I even ran my personal life as a project. So I would look at, buying a home. Okay, what's my budget? What are the risks? What are some of the obstacles? What's my time frame? So I think even as you're learning things, start applying those project management principles just in your day-to-day life. There's always an opportunity to sharpen your organizational skills, to sharpen your communication skills. So I would definitely say look for opportunities where you can start applying project management principles, connect with project managers from all different industries, not just in tech, but like you said, government. It's just across the gamut. And so have conversations with them. You'll be surprised at how many people will spend 15 minutes to 30 minutes just, talking to a complete stranger about what they do and what they love. So that's what I would highly recommend.
You're absolutely on point with that, Ashaki. I mean, I would say the three kind of gold mine places, LinkedIn, as we've mentioned them, we're not even getting endorsed by this, but LinkedIn, and just reaching out to people, typing in the search project manager, typing in the hashtag PMP or hashtag project manager. YouTube, you want to learn anything. I just found today a Black woman where she is talking about a day in a life as a Scrum Master. I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? Like someone who looks like me can tell me from her perspective what a day in the life of being a Scrum Master is all about. And I think that's really important. So, as always, representation matters, and someone that you can maybe more relate to. And then of course, Facebook groups, there's a Facebook group for everybody and everything, and looking towards that. So, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook groups, you can find your people, and find the resources you need to get started. It may not be the answer, but it's going to lead you that way. And that's part of the process of being a good project manager, is find something and do your due diligence and keep at it, keep chipping away at it. So I appreciate you sharing that. And, there's just so many people out there who's willing to talk. And if they say no, okay, because you're going to hear no as a project manager. So get used to it. You're going to hear no when you negotiate. Get used to it. It's what I'm proud of you is that you even asked. Like, hear the no's so that it doesn't even bother you anymore. And that's something I've had to learn as a project manager, as an entrepreneur. Get used to hearing no. And that's something very much needed to be said for women. I think the best thing for me growing up was being a Girl Scout, and I had to go through the dreaded annual Girl Scout cookie and knocking on doors and hearing no and being okay with that. And no is information. Now you don't have to worry about that person anymore. On to the next one. So
absolutely, next opportunity. I've heard somebody say that.
Yes,
that's what no stands for. Next opportunity.
I love that. I have to remember that. I'm writing that down right now. Next opportunity. Well, I'd love to hear. So you're so great at providing this wisdom and great advice. What's the best career advice you received when you started out in your career in project management?
Oh, wow. I think the best advice that I received was really to serve the project team, to really make sure that I was removing obstacles, barriers, that I was coaching, mentoring, meeting them where they were at, and making sure that I was really serving them and making sure that their needs were met and making sure that they understood their role and why they were a part of the team, and keeping everyone focused on the vision. So that's what really was, drilled into me by a more seasoned project manager. She was a minority woman. So like you said, the representation matters. So she talked about, if you can pull people together, rally them around the vision, and show them how much you care about them truly, then you will be able to produce high-performing teams that will do amazing things. And so I think that was really the best advice. It wasn't around what tool to use or, what technique to use here. I think those things are valuable, but those things are going to change over time. Mm-hmm. But the projects really are about the team members. And if you take care of your team, then they will do amazing things. So I think that was really the best advice that I received, is to make sure that the focus and the emphasis was removing any obstacles or impediments for my team, and really getting to know them individually, but also collectively, and seeing where their weaknesses were and coaching and mentoring through those, and where their strengths were, really just making those shine and highlighting those for everyone to see. And so, I think that was the best advice that I've received, and that's the advice that I still follow today.
That's great advice. I love hearing that. How do people learn about the Project Management Training Academy? How do women learn about entering into the fall program that starts in September?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find us on LinkedIn. We're under Project Management Training Academy, or you can also send us an email at projtrainingacademy@gmail.com. So that's PROJTRAINING academy@gmail.com. So we will get back to you within 24 business hours, and we can go from there to see if it's a good fit for you to be in the September cohort.
That's great. And then how do people just be in your presence? How do they contact you and be a part of your network?
Yes, so I absolutely love LinkedIn. I love meeting new people. So I think the best way to really connect with me is to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I am just, at Ashaki Sorrell on LinkedIn. So yes, I'm always open to making new connections, having conversations, having video chat calls, the whole nine. So I've learned so much from others. I've learned so much from you, Crystal. And like I said, I've connected with so many fabulous people. So I think that's the best way to reach out to me would be LinkedIn.
Well, that's great. And I'll make sure I have all that information in the show notes as well. Well, Ashaki, I so appreciated this time. Anything I can do to help support you in the Academy. I mean, I already think you should have more, but I know you only have so much time and so much to give because it's just such a great service for women who want to transition into really a worthwhile field. You go in with the right mindset, you go in knowing that it's strong leadership, it's humility, it's working with sometimes crazy folks, but knowing that their heart is in the right place, and sometimes they just don't articulate it very well, and just being a good, honestly, a diplomat, a negotiator, all those things. And it sounds like your program is giving them all of that exposure and understanding, the education, and most importantly, the experience. And that's what hiring leaders are looking for, employers are looking for. They want you to have the experience. So education is great, but it's the experience. And sometimes it's through programs like with the Project Management Training Academy. Sometimes it's through volunteering with your local Project Management Institute chapter. If you're more in Agile, your Agile community definitely has volunteering opportunities. So, but I know Ashaki will be a great wealth of knowledge in helping you kind of navigate through that. I, in turn, would love to help you in navigating some ways to get experience. So thanks so much for your time. And I hope people connect with you. And thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Crystal, for having me.
Absolutely.
I love what Ashaki said about gaining experience with your current job. Ask for a stretch assignment leading a small project at your current organization. Shadow a project manager, or maybe seek out a project manager via a Facebook group or through LinkedIn and ask them about their experience. People love to talk about themselves. Ask. The worst they can say is no, or I don't have time, or I'm not available, whatever. Ask and get used to hearing no. The fact that you are hearing no means you are making the ask. And don't forget to join your local project management community or Agile community for volunteer opportunities as well. I hope you enjoyed listening to this 3-part series. Take a look at the show notes in this episode for more information on claiming your professional development hours or continuing education credits. Thanks so much for listening.